Good evening and welcome to the calm after the storm. You wrote the exam and probably your shoulders are down now. It is what it was. You did your best, and once you would have done your best, then you just have to leave the rest up to the arms of our Savior. All right, so not many persons are here, understandably so. Are afraid and all the other issues that comes with that. Uh, but we are here. We are here. Um, I would have seen the paper. Yes, I did. In a matter of fact, I have the paper. So we're going to be looking at the paper for those brave heart to see how better we could have done, because I know that we did well, but we want to see if we could have done anything a little better. All right. So just give me a second. You heard the money coming, right? Right. What I don't ever do. Yes, I am back. So we're just going to start to have a little chat. I realize that some persons had chemistry today, and some persons had HSB today, and we labored a lot. In a matter of fact, I met some persons today that were a part of the live, and they were smiling. Now, I have my own questions about what CXC had promised. I think there are two instances on the paper that I am wondering how this got into the mix of things, but probably you are going to help me. The mosquito question was a bit tricky. Okay, overall it was good. Good evening, Macmillan. Big up yourself. More. A long time I not used to more. I have been seeing that logo. Probably I wasn't paying much attention to the name. Sir, it was too easy. Well, personally, I don't think it was easy. All right. Sir, me no want hear about it. All right. It happened. All right. Exam was great. All right, interesting. It was extra for me. All this unnecessary study. Unnecessary study. I don't know why unnecessary study. Probably you can explain that for me. Lol, it was simple. It was simple. I simple. I'm excited for the multiple choice. Oh, my brain did. My brain did the everywhere. My brain did the everywhere. All right. That happens. Alcohol part. Yeah, alcohol part was. I was sort of wondering what is this doing here. This is disease. I mean, yes, a section D wouldn't have been on the paper. So what alcohol doing here? I was wondering that. There are two parts on the paper. I was wondering how the heck this get on the paper. The part about bathing and all of that. How does that get on the paper? I mean, the Unipatel you were giving us that. So that was not a part of the agreement, if you ask me. All right. Uh let me see now. The alcohol. Where am I? The alcohol part. The alcohol part. The alcohol part. It's okay. Where am I? I'm getting old. Oh, my brain was everywhere. Uh Oh, alcohol part. Me but what I pull through. The alcohol part, I mean, I was wondering what was that doing on the I'm like what? But then with all this negative feedback mechanism, I said, boy, six is always this dice playing, man. Uh not me forgetting how to plot a bar graph. Just turn, you're supposed to turn the paper sideways like so to plot the graph. Because if you turn it so it now go hold. So turn it sideways like so and it should have hold. That's fine. Bar graph, the bar them not supposed to touch. All right. Forget to do the bar graph after everything else. You forget to do the you don't do it any at all. But I gave you guys the idea that I gave you guys some strategy as to what to do if you skip over a question. All right. I think everything we study will come in the multiple choice. The multiple choice will be everything on the syllabus, right? And everything is never ever on the exam. So just most of our some of what you study, everything can't be on the exam. It can't hold in 60 question or 6 question. I forget as well, but I just had to think it through. I have a live or I have a video out there on bar graph. Do it. I think it has some error. We corrected it in the description. Open do everything. Me I look for excretion. Can't find it. But the skin is excretion. So what you think it? Skin is excretion, and there are other excretion thing on the paper. Yes, excretion was there. Uh the time done too quick. It's just 2 hours, you know. So remember, I told you guys that you are supposed to just look for the one that is easiest to you, and then you get that out of the way, and then you get to the others. I must say thank you, Mr. Wilson. Even though the paper was easy, if it weren't for you, I would have been I wouldn't have been able to answer some of the questions. All right, you're welcome. Sir, skeletal system barely come. Yeah, the skeletal system barely come on the paper, and there are some things that just never come any at all. I never say, well, little bit of sewage, sewage barely come. All right. Couple question on it. Yeah, man, I have the paper and I'm going to go through the paper with you guys. I just listening to you. I actually have the paper. Here's the paper, right? And I worked the paper earlier. So the skeletal system barely come. Yeah, the skeletal system barely come. But I see some things on the paper that I have never seen. Every time you come down, you kiss me. The paper wasn't easy, bro. Some question was hard, while some was. I agree with that. I agree. I wouldn't call it an easy paper. I wouldn't call it an easy paper. Like I said, I don't really think that it was easy. There were some questions on it, but as to say that it was a slap away, a slap in the park, lick in the boundary, I wouldn't say it was a lick for 6. I would say like it's a lick for 4. You know, a nice 4 going right down on the line. But to say that in the boundary, I wouldn't say this was a boundary exam where it was easy, easy, easy. No, no, no. You see, persons can talk anything they want to talk, you know. But so you walk the walk is a different thing. I work the paper. So I am not just flipping through the pages like so and say, oh, this is an easy question. This is an easy question. I don't do that. I work the paper. So when I say the exam is easier, the exam is hard, I work the paper. So I have a good idea as to what the kids went through. So I am not one of that teacher. Oh, you got an easy paper. No. Me, this next teacher will tell you that it was easy. Ask them if them work it. Have you worked the paper, miss? If them say no, them not in a position to tell you say it's easy. Because people glance through paper all the time and say it's easy, but tell them to sit down and do it. Now, it is kind of hard, yes. Thank you, Susan. I was struggling to think of a third reason for the last question. I swear. The last question of the one down at the back. The last, oh, you see that's something, you know. I don't even think that is covered in the book. I don't even think that is covered in the text. But guess what? You know them. And when I tell them, all right, let me tell you them very quickly. You have acne, eczema, psoriasis, and generally they are called dermatitis. Generally, they are called dermatitis. All right, so you know them. That was like common sense, but it started to lick you up the head because you were looking for something out of your textbook. You probably wouldn't have known for psoriasis. Probably you wouldn't have known that one. But you knew about acne, you knew about eczema. More so the persons who have baby, you would have known about eczema. You use the Desitin cream or the oil pretty much when the baby pee or when they change the baby to prevent eczema. You know about acne with the pimples on the face and all of that. You knew that. All right. And generally, you could talk about dermatitis because dermatitis is just wider than those. All right. So great. I swear. Yes, that alcohol thing was really bothering me. Well, the alcohol thing even bother me. Yeah, the alcohol thing all bother me too. So I don't feel too bad. It bother me too. All right. So, like I say, I walk the walk so I can talk the talk with you guys. It's not a story I'm telling. I walk the walk. Yes. Yeah. Yeah, the alcohol part was confusing, but I answered everything, whether it was wrong or right. Great, great. Same. I write-ish. I write to see. That's what I say. Okay, I write to see. All right, great. When I saw it, I was like, "What the heck is doing here?" It's the same thing me say too. Me I say like alcohol, yo, alcohol. This around a disease, you know, brother. When me look on the beard something, me I say this a personal hygiene, you know, brother. When I never tell you say this a company paper, you know, brother. Okay, great. Sir, I don't answer about 5 things. Well, I remember when I did maths, you know, I wanted maths so bad that every answer that I work that way, I work it back this way. And when I work it that way, I work it back this way. I work it that way. And by the end of the paper, about half of the paper, I do idea about, you know. But I managed to come out of maths with 2 because I couldn't manage to feel, so I have to check everything and I waste my time and never done the paper. So if you get the others really, really good, you don't need to worry about the few that you didn't answer. Trust me on that. Well, drugs are under disease. Yeah, but the disease that they told us to study, they told us to study a particular disease. I think they say infectious disease in the syllabus. But remember when I said touch section, I did say to you touch section E, but even though they touch section E, them say you must link it back to disease. But they never really tell you for the disease still now. But them say link back what you're doing over to disease. So there's no way you can link it back over disease unless you go over disease. So next time we have to say, you know, that links up me what I'm talking about. It means so we must study everything. So we are going to study everything and crush this thing here, man. All right. So it was all right, but they added more of section D than expected. Yeah, they added more section D of the syllabus than we were actually expecting. The mosquito and the cholera and the typhoid, that was fine because we were expecting that once you're going to talk about water and disease and D7. D7, we expected that, but some of the other things that we never really expect them. But some of them you can talk about ringworm and them thing there, you know? Yeah, fungus, yeah. So it's not like these that I give are the only. Dermatitis is a wide range of stuff that you can think about. Whole lot of stuff. Athlete, foot tap, you name them. Different type of fungal infection. All right. And then I was expecting. Sir, I tried my best. Well, your best is always good enough, you know, treasure. And like I like to say, it's not all over until the fat lady sings. You know, there's always another opportunity if things don't go the way you wanted it to go. Shadia, yes. Shadia, you get one. If who get one, I don't know if you who's Shadia. I don't know who is Shadia. Shadia probably have to answer that. I repeat about the bar graph. I was saying just turn the thing sideways. So you just turn the graph sideways, turn the graph paper sideways, and construct the graph because the bars are not supposed to touch each other. So if you try to construct it like that, it won't work. You might feel the exam trying, but if you just turn the sheet sideways and draw your bars up, you'll be fine. Just turn the sheet sideways and draw the bars up. Now, why you struggle with that bar graph is because everybody trying to draw the bar graph portrait. But if you turn it and draw it landscape, it would have been easier. One of them tricked about graph. All right. And if you were looking at my graph question, which I said that it had an error, I put it in the comment below that turn the graph paper sideways and you get it right. All right. Juju. Well, I don't know what Juju means. Of course, they get one. Oh, okay, you get one. All when me, no, 5 of them, you still get one. All right, do your thing, brother. Big up here, sir. All right, big up, sir. All right, do your thing. All right, sir, you can attach the bar graph to the, you can attach a bar graph to the x-axis. We have seen CXC done this all the time. They just draw a graph on the grid. They don't draw any axis stuff, but don't worry about that. Just worry that the bars are there and all of that. Don't worry too seriously about that. All right, because we have seen CXC do all sorts of stuff when they're sending out the thing. You see, last night the whole of the question with osmosis we couldn't answer because it's wrong. And a CXC come from with one whole of question wrong. All right. The health part never wasn't expecting. Yeah, we never expect so much as section D. Never expect so much as section D. Sir, I don't want to see the workings of any of my exam. The anxiety will kill me. You're going to be all right, man. You're going to be all right. No matter how you'll be celebrating. Amma, you shot it out of the park. Yeah, the exam took some amount of common sense. Yeah. So like you say, I never come here this evening and start going like more and badge around and talk about the exam easy, And that is why I tell you that I work the exam. So if I work the exam, I can tell you whether it's easy or not. I never just flip the pages and look at the topics. Yeah, it wasn't a walk. It wasn't really a walk in the park. So when I hear a person say that, I'm sort of a little worried. Forget to give my graph a title. I don't think they're marking for title when it comes to HSB. I think that's a biology thing. What they're marking for HSB is just for you to construct the graph, not the title. I don't know HSB marking for that. They are just marking for the graph and they understand that you have the access. So I don't think you have a problem there. May overstudy. Nobody overstudy because you're not studying for five questions. If you're doing the biology or the HSB any at all, I am of the opinion that you expect to move forward with it. So you're going to need the content that you already locked. So don't worry yourself if it wasn't on the paper. It is still with you. The skeletal part, about me for right two bone in my lungs part or chest part. A chest it say me only right ribs and vertebrae. Boy, I never ever think about the vertebrae. The bone has a name sternum. I did do that with you. Sternum, the one in the middle right here, so that protects the heart. Remember when we talk about the heart and so the heart in the center and curve to the left, the sternum and the ribs. But you could only do what you can do still. You can't kill yourself for you never do. It never easy, sir. Well, it's not going to be easy for everyone, but for some persons, it will definitely be easy. We are going to have a little bell curve thingy that some person up here to find it. Some person up here saying average, some person is going to do nothing, and them one over here so ace it, right? So we know that. Them say in the chest region, yes, the chest region. All right. The question about the breast. Oh Jesus! If you ever have a baby, you can answer that. What I want to know. The screen just run. I don't know. My screen just went up. Careful. Oh, yeah. All right, just give me a second. I'm trying to find it, but the screen ran just now. Overstudy. I read that already. What a collarbone in the chest? All right, I think I missed something. They did ask for title. They did ask for a title. I don't know if they asked for a title. I really don't remember. I couldn't look at the paper though. I soon look at the paper, you know. But I just listen to what you have to say. What's up, Sir Wilson? You know me there, I take it easy. I overstudy for the, yeah, I don't think that anybody overstudied. You're not going to get everything on an exam. Sir, I wrote ribs and collarbone. Well, I don't know. Well, I don't know they're going to give you. Well, I don't know. I don't know what they call the chest, you know, but I don't know. I really don't know. But for me, it would have been the sternum and the ribs. But collarbone is somewhere in the region just the same because the chest is pretty much. Yeah, I think they'll probably give you because the chest span the entire pectoral girdle here, right in the thorax region. So they might give you. I can't say yes or no. I don't know. Okay, so let me move on down. I don't know. I'm going to be honest. I don't know for that one. Sir, I put 4 bones in the chest area just to be sure. What are the 4 bones? You have to be careful with that because they're going to mark the first 2 because you are saying to them that you don't know what it is. The only way it's going to be right is if all 4 is right. I could not remember the name sternum. I remember it, but the name just wouldn't come to me. Hush. Sir, as I open the paper, me see the bird control. I just hit it out of the park. Am I? Me vex cause they never bring Punnett Square. Yeah. Them come and ask me about benefits of variation that caught me off guard. No, man, variation can't catch it. Remember that when we had sexual reproduction, we said that it creates variation, and if you have variation, you're going to find that you can withstand changes in the environment. So one person might succumb, but somebody else will survive. All right, so variation. You should have just write something, brother. Me put IUD. IUD you can use this and tubal ligation. Yeah, you can use a mirror that answer there. I did the same. Do they mark for spelling? No, not if it pronounced like how you spell it. Me misspell almost every word. Lol. It happens every now and then. All right. No, they don't mark for spelling. Well, I have a problem with using a pencil in my. I am worried. The only worry you should be worried is that if when they get to mark the paper, the pencil writing rub out on the paper, you're going to have a problem. But if they can see the pencil writing, you are fine. And I can say that because I remember having a book one time for SBA with pencil writing, and I just submitted with the other books to be marked, and the young man passed. Rib cage, rib is rib cage is all of the ribs them. And boy, baby, what are you doing? Don't trouble me. Don't trouble me. Don't trouble me. You heard me? Don't trouble me. All right, great. No, the rib cage is the entire thing. So you can't say rib cage and ribs, right? So that is like equivalent to 1 if you ask me. Sorry. Sir, can you answer 4C, please? I answer everything. I'm going to go through everything. I want to see if what I put was right. Not everybody think about if what you put was right. Low that alone. Who passed? Well, everybody passed. Sir, for the decomposer. Oh, you saw the decomposer with the snake. The answer there is fungi and bacteria. All right. But that is not the question I expect you to ask me. I expect you to ask me that curve arrow, what it is. What is that curve arrow thing on the food chain? Question. I just keep hearing you saying always. Remember that decomposers are bacteria and fungi. All right. As the second time I hear a student say, you're playing in my head like a ghost in the exam, brother. Hey, sir. Thank you for helping me out with CSEC biology. When I did the exam, it was quite awesome. Okay, great. We are supposed to work that paper and put it up. But because I mean, I am like tapping off now. I have papers to write up at school. Tomorrow I have assessment for CXC. So I'm going to be out. You're not going to be seeing me until I have to get those dates for the multiple choice that we can plan those marathon around the multiple choice. The bar the bar is supposed to touch. No, brother, if it's a bar chart, the bar is not supposed to touch. It's histogram, the bars touch. Histogram, but bar chart, the bars are not supposed to touch. Just turn the graph paper sideways, and once you turn the graph paper, you would have gotten the space. You can turn the graph paper any way you want or anything else. But if you try to draw on the graph paper for that particular graph in the portrait way, you are going to spend the entire day and you are going to be frustrated. All right, put the sternum on the rib cage. Yeah, you're good. All right, same. For a question about the alcohol, that was my problem question on the paper. For the question about the alcohol and urine, I put alcohol cause ADH to decrease, hence increase urine output. Is that right? Well, the alcohol is a diuretic, so the alcohol is definitely going to cause more urine to produce. The thing about it, some person might want to get really technical about ADH and how ADH works. Some person might just go layman and not even touch ADH. But the alcohol is a diuretic. So it's either you're going to say that it's a diuretic or you're going to talk about ADH and how ADH works. All right. I put collarbone. Sir, I have a question. But everybody have a question. Yes, that is respiration. Yes, it was respiration. Respiration. Someone never have an exam lock. Yeah, my ear, respiration. Okay, sir. LMO, all I was hearing was Mr. Wilson's voice, and I'm new here, and with the great explaining, I have been able to grasp so much. Okay, big up yourself. Uh, that's so true. All right, great. Okay, sir. Damn, my bars were touching. Don't worry about that. The bars are not supposed to touch, but the exam gone. So what that means the graph wrong if the bars are touching. If I ask you to go left and you go right, did you go in the wrong direction? See if you can get your answer there. Ligament part and tendon part was easy, yes, but in that case, you needed to talk about the structural and functional difference. You need to talk about how it's made up and what it does. All right. So, sir, we don't get any mark if the bars touch. I don't know. I've never marked for CXC, so I can't speak to that. So I am not going to be any god here for CXC. I really don't know. I don't know. Sorry, I really don't know. All right. Wish I knew that. I wish I did too. All right, great. Stuff that I studied for didn't come. That is always, if you study any at all, that must happen. If you study for an exam, it must happen that some of what you study for did not come. So anybody who sit an exam and tell you that everything that they study come on the paper, something is wrong. That is like an anomaly. That is like you win the lotto 5 days for the week. Can the bars be 1 centimeter instead of 2? Of course they can be 1 centimeter. They can be 1, they can be 2, they can be 3. Once they're represented on the paper nicely, and they are not touching, because if they are touching, it is not a bar graph, it is a histogram. Each country has 2 bars, yes, and they touch, at least for me. You know, I'm going to be honest with you, I'm still trying to figure out that type of thing. Being that there are different things and a country have 2 bars, I am still trying to figure out how that works. I think I'll have to speak to somebody who does stats to see how is that classified. I have to do some more research on that, right? I really have to do some research on that. But I understand that thing that you're talking about, Amoy. I really understand. And I think I personally need to do some work on that. And I'm going to do some work on it before the weekend to find out exactly what is expected there. Or when we get the CXC report, it will tell us what went wrong. All right. Good evening, sir. I am almost sure is you set the biology paper. Well, I'm happy that you're almost sure and you're not sure. Because if you are sure, then probably I'll be in trouble. Sir, but each country has 2 bars. Yeah, I know each country have 2 bars, and that sort of make it a little difficult. So I might even be, I don't know, I don't know. I don't know. I know that all the bars are not supposed to touch. I have done bar graphs where I like a country have 2 bars or 3 bars, and I put these 3 together, and then I put those 3 together, and then I put those 3 together. But as to tell you whether it is the best or the right convention, the truth is I really don't know. I have done it, right? But the little content that I have on bar graph is that they are not supposed to touch, right? But if it's the same country, I'll have to do some deep reading tonight or sometime, and then I will post it in the chat for you that you will have it when you move on. And those students next year will know exactly what to do. All right, paper one marathon, we're ready. You have to tell me, we're going to do, I'd prefer to do like a week worth of marathon for paper one so that we can get those paper more than, do those paper more than one time. I'd prefer that more than just a 2 day. HSB, you really had it really tough in your preparation. I think bio get a longer time to prepare. But the truth is, HSB get a whole lot of content throughout the year, right? We completed bio for some time now, and we left them out in the wild and or the wilderness, and then we went back to help them for CXT. All right, big up yourself, Mr. Wilson. Big up, big up, big up, big up every time. All right. Thanks for everything. All right, my pleasure. Yes, Mr. Wilson. Big up yourself. Yes, big up, big up, big up. Where are we now? What does the body do when there is a build-up of carbon dioxide? That is homeostasis, you know. That is a homeostatic response. And if you want to know where you are going to find it in the textbook, you are going to find it in, I think you find it in respiration. When what happens when the body has a lot of carbon dioxide, it's going to increase your depth of breathing and the speed at which you breathe. In order to get rid of the carbon dioxide, that is what, so you're going to increase the depth of breathing, you are going to increase the speed of breathing, and then the next thing that is going to happen is that more oxygen will be taken in. And you know that because you know that when you get tired, when you run from yourself to catch a bus, you know, and you start breathe fast, you know, it's because you have more carbon dioxide in the blood, you know. Or sports day when you're running and you're panting and all of that, it's more carbon dioxide in the blood, and it's a homeostatic response that is really causing that type of action to take place. Sir, I start Monday, and I am sure I'm getting a pass. Well, I think that anybody could take 6 days and pass this exam because you were only given 6 topics. Uh, all what you teach us this morning came. Really? Ah, can you imagine if you were here like 2 days ago where we taught the first part of the syllabus? Yesterday when we taught reproduction. I think we had a 5 hour class yesterday. In the night, I was saying that you are wicked, Mr. Wilson. A class is supposed to go 2 hours or you go 5. Yeah, I was looking at that and I had concerns. I said, whoa, you're a wicked man, Mr. Wilson. It's good thing I talk a whole heap of story in the middle. You didn't even realize it was 5 hours. What? Okay. Thank you. Did I expect genetics? Well, I was expecting, in a matter of fact, when I got the paper, the first thing I turned it around to look for is the pit latrine. I was just expecting that. All right. When you start this multiple, when you start the multiple dog, a dog that a double G. I don't even know what that is, but I don't know. But I am not a dog. If anything else, I might be a lot of other things, but not a dog. I don't even know if that is how you spell dog. Dog. I don't know what it is. Not that I'm offended because not many things offend me. You have to like tell a lie on me, then that offend me. But calling me, well, that really doesn't offend me. All right. But if you no help set the paper something wrong. Well, I answer the paper, you know, so the answer them over here, so you see me here beating around the bush and listening to everybody, and I'm looking what I'm just getting you comfortable so that we can start talk about the paper seriously, and you just make your way. All right, remember, you know, it's not the end of life. I used to go to interviews and I used to say, please, God, let me get this job, please. And then I find myself getting these jobs that I don't want. And then now, I realize that God answer my prayer. I don't really want him to answer that prayer anymore. So when I start that interview, I start say, thy will be done. I make the prayer simpler. Thy will be done. Sometimes I just not your time yet. So not a beat on yourself because you feel it. Sometimes I'm not your time yet. You have to just wait. Right? Sometimes I'm not your time yet. Even though the door open, you see the promised land. I just not your time yet. And we have to appreciate that. All right. But okay, great. Let me see. Once again, everyone, the exam wasn't easy for everyone, especially me. Some of us found it hard. Yeah, I will know that, and nobody's beating down on anyone. Persons are just communicating their personal experience, and nobody should feel bad about it because everybody have a right to celebrate or to mourn or things like that. I haven't seen anyone saying to anybody that it should have been this or should have been that because nobody know about person's circumstance over the 1 year, what they could have done, what they did not do. So persons are more like communicating their experience, So we're not eating on anybody. But despite the bars touching, the follow-up questions, don't worry about that bar graph here, sir. I think I need to do some work on that bar graph. Because like I tell you, I know the countries have two. I read. I don't even know who is this. When I see Current Springer from Trinidad, him do maths, ask him about that bar graph, something, if a bar them supposed to touch. I would probably just WhatsApp him and ask him myself. I'll message him and ask him or something. The maths people, the stats people, who better tell me more about that graph. I might just send him a message and ask him. Yeah, I am not afraid to say that I am not sure or I don't know. Yeah, I don't tell people what I don't know. If I don't know, I don't know. I am not God. All right, so, sir, I was hearing your voice in my head the whole time. I hope I was telling you good things to write on the paper and not telling you about you need any fever grass to go in your shoes. I hope that is not what you heard. Sir, it looked like almost everything, everybody bar graph touch. Well, everybody bar graph I got touch based on the scene because you see through the two countries in there are two data sets in each country. I get it, that person's bar graph are going to be touching. But I'm going to check that for you guys and tell you what is the correct representation. You can't hold me to that. I'll do some checks on that. But I have to ask somebody who is in stats or somebody who is really deep in maths. Well, I put breathing increase. Yeah, that is right. And blood pressure. Yes, I not even think about blood pressure, but your blood pressure have increased because the blood have to move faster. So yeah, you get that right. I not even think about that. That's why I'm like listen to one more time. Sir, it looked like almost everybody, yeah, I see that. Sir, I use a key. Well, you can use a key, if it's a grass, you always can use a key or a legend. It really didn't have room to space them. If you turn the paper sideways, you would have been able to. So if you turn the paper sideways, I tried, turn the paper sideways, all the graphs would have had space and the bars wouldn't touch. If you turned it sideways, all the bars would have. I did the calculation myself. Yes. All right. So sir, the tendons, I put it connective tissue and it assists the joints to move together. The tendon, depending on where you're going with that. Remember, tendon connected to muscle and ligament connected to bone. All right. All right. So I still see some more stuff. Let me just try to get these out. Homeostasis, I put negative feedback. Yeah, man, it was negative feedback, man. Let me not go through the two of them with the man until it's a positive when the woman get the oxytocin. So negative feedback for the homeostasis stuff. Yeah, man, we have a left bar graph and stop mash up people head with bar graph. Make that stay here, man. That was one question for the paper. You had us worried so much. Worried why? I don't know why you would be worried. Well, I don't think that anybody should be worried in it. Just take it easy. Yes, I know you can resit the exam. I think you can. The thing about resit now, is I think CXC. I think CXC. You probably would have to do the SB. I'm not too sure how that thing work out. All right, so don't worry yourself. You might very well pass. All right. The nice part out of the way. So I'm going to find out what really you had on the exam. So the nice part is the first question. The nice part here is the first question. So we are going to find out what did you do with this table. So I worked the paper out, and I don't know if you remember what is there. I don't know if you remember what is there, but I'll just read for you. Table 1 shows some of the steps involved in the birth process. I remember when I was teaching this, some persons were writing all sorts of stuff, and I was saying you have to put them in order. What happens first? That type of a thing. Complete the table by completely numbering each step to show the correct order in the birth process. All right. So anybody remember what they wrote? What number was the first thing? They have baby expelled head first. What number is that? What position? There are 4 positions there. So when the baby head come out, all right, let me start again. When the placenta come out, what number is that? Out of the 4, what number, when the placenta leaves, what number is that? No, man, don't just answer 3 and 4. Just say 3, let us start again. If it's placenta, just use a P for placenta. All right, so when the placenta come out, is it what number it is? So if it's placenta, put a P. So I am assuming here that persons are saying, all right, so for the placenta, it is the last process. It's the 4th process. All right, great. Great. That is all right. That is true. Now, when the baby is expelled head first, all right, so we're going to use a B and a number beside it. When the baby is expelled head first, what number is that? The baby is expelled head first. What number is that? If it, put a B beside your answer. The person said B3. So this mark out of 4, so person start get 2 marks already. All right, great. So the other thing I want to ask you about now, the release of oxytocin. So O, put an O beside the number for that. The release for oxytocin. The release of oxytocin. Put an O beside that, what number it is. So now I'm going, I couldn't ace the exam. I remember yesterday when we were talking about this, and I said oxytocin, where does oxytocin fall? The hormone is going to start all this action. Great. So then it goes without saying then that the rhythmic contraction that is going to be 2. So you got full marks for that. Everybody got 4 out of 4 for that. Great. So let's move on. Now, state 2 reliable methods of birth control. 2 reliable methods of birth control. 2 reliable methods of birth control. 2 reliable methods, contraceptive pill and condom, them they are the first one I put, brother. Tubal ligation and vasectomy, I would write that too because them they look really safe. Surgical and hormonal barrier. Pills, condoms. I'd rather if you use a name if you ask me, but I can't tell you how CXC will accept that. Most time they have more than one answer for a couple of stuff. All right? Condom and not having sex. Abstinence. So abstinence is the most effective method of birth control. So I am with you on that and diaphragm. So what I realize is that Everybody would have passed for the first page, 6 mark. Congratulations. CSEC did treat you nice. All right. So the other part now, that this graph worked 5 marks. All right. So I don't know if the graph had asked for title, but I'm not going to stress you guys on the graph because you already outlined your position on the graph. So let me just skip over the graph. What is the answer for the other question? I think it says state which country had the highest number of live birth as a result of a woman attending antenatal clinics. Which are the country? Oh, the countries are, oh yeah, you remember. It is, yes, persons remember. All right, I could show you. Here it is on the screen. So yes, it's Trinidad. TT, Trinidad. So everybody get that 1 mark. So I'm gonna lose 5 marks already, you know. But you know reach 7. So out of 12, I'm gonna 7. That graph is a dangerous thing on the paper. That graph was really, really dangerous because out of 12 mark, you know, 7 you're gone. And the graph hit you. You see the danger of one question? Don't worry yourself too much. Let us see how we can get back this together. Now, suggest one reason why some countries had low live birth rates, even though their women attended antenatal clinic. What was the answer for that? What was the answer for that? Suggest one reason why some countries had low live birth rate. So I am getting the idea here that the babies were born, but the babies were born dead. Because it's a women who did not attend the antenatal clinic, and it's a live birth rates per 1,000. So to 100. So it's looking at women who gave birth that was alive. Now, when I look at what I am seeing in the chat, clearly you guys don't know what happened at antenatal clinic. We spoke about that yesterday when persons were generalizing, and I'd asked, and I remember Adiplus said she was outlining some of the things that are done at the clinic, some of the checks that are carried out, and so on. So for my answer, I won't tell you if your answer is right or wrong. I'll tell you what is my answer. These women, they attended this clinic, but they did not follow the instruction. They continue to take drugs, and you know the effect of drugs on the baby. Some of these persons, so all those things that they tell you are the things that you should do. Avoid STI. Some of them have STI. Eating habit, they didn't follow the guidelines. As it were for drugs, drinking, smoking, they didn't follow that. And as a result, that ended up in what we refer to as stillbirth. All right. So look, it says live birth. So that means the babies were born, but the babies were dead. What is it that they tell you when you go to maternity clinic? That if you breach that, it could have caused death of the child. So that is, for some person, 6 marks gone out at 13. I'm going to stop talking about the marks. I don't work at CSEC, so you might very well get the mark. It's just opinion I'm giving you, and my opinion might be wrong. Next question. A follow-up study was conducted, and the women who attended antenatal clinic to determine the health of a mother and their babies. The study showed that the mother who breastfed their babies were healthier, and so were the babies. Now, so just one reason for good health in the breastfeeding mother, and one reason for good health in the breastfed baby. Let me see where this is going now. What is the answer to this one? What's the answer to this question? All right, so everybody going to get it that the baby, the antibodies in the breast milk is going to keep the baby safe because the baby doesn't make any antibody. I told you that yesterday. But what about the mother? Yeah, so the baby get this immunity from mom. But what about mom? It is more about the antibodies that come from the mother to the baby, you know, and not so much the milk as a nutrient. You know, because if we take the milk, take the baby off the milk, the baby will get nutrient just the same. But it's the antibodies that we have been emphasizing yesterday all day when we were talking about immunity, and I kept sending that video. All right, what about mom? And I laugh up down at all. Hey, when me tell you the answer for this, you see, all the mothers in the room going drop a ground. All right, so see James here giving the answer. So James have the answer going up the screen. Breastfeeding enables mother to return the uterus to normal size and prevent bleeding. So persons who would have breastfed a baby, you will know when the baby latch onto that breast and start to suck. You feel like your fingers are drawing up. You feel like your toe is drawing up. You feel like your belly is drawing up. Because while the baby is breastfeeding, oxytocin is being released, and the oxytocin is causing this contraction to take place to fix back your area there, and to even get the belly all tucked in, right? So while you are breastfeeding, so yes, the answer for me, this is 2 marks. The answer for me, you probably want my answer. Mother, during breastfeeding, oxytocin is released, and this oxytocin return the uterus. And pretty much that which you saw James said a while ago is correct. And of course, the baby, I didn't even realize I didn't write about the baby. The baby is, of course, going to get that immunity from mom. So that is, of course, going to keep the baby healthy. And I said it yesterday, you don't have to spend that whole lot of time going to the clinic because the baby won't get sick that readily. Well, all right. Stress now. No need to stress. No need to stress. Next question. We are at question number, I think it's number 2 now. That was not in the book. No. We are ready again. You're going to get some enough marks now, so stop crying. All right, so you remember the food chain? It has organism X, and it has some arrows with A on the arrows. Now, your first question in that food chain, you are supposed to state what the arrows, you are supposed to state what the arrows labeled A represent in figure 1. The arrows labeled A, what is it that they represent? The arrows labeled A, what is it that they represent? No, CXC don't want you to regurgitate. They want you to think. So the arrow could mean eaten by, but it didn't ask you what the arrow, it didn't ask you what the arrow means. It asks you what it represents. That's a different thing. So the arrow represents the flow of energy. The arrow represents the flow of energy. So what it means, it might tell who is eating what. But what does it represent here? It represents the flow of energy. All right. State what occurs at the arrow labeled B. What does that mean at arrow B? So respiration is happening at arrow B. I don't know that it could be heat loss, and why I wouldn't go with heat loss, because we need it could be combustion, but because it's a food chain, it is not combustion. So if we are putting in oxygen and we are taking out carbon dioxide, then it is easy to say that that is respiration. Now, why I wouldn't go with heat loss? Because the arrow is not really coming from. This one is tricky, you know. You know that it really could be loss of energy. It could be loss of energy because oxygen is coming from the atmosphere, going to the organism. So I think that CXC will really look at that if you have loss of energy, but it's really respiration, and with respiration, energy will be given off. So that's a tricky one there. I can't tell you what will be the final thing for CXC. Identify the organisms. Identify the organism that is a primary consumer. The organism that is a primary consumer. So it begins with organism X, then we move on to organism Y, then we go to organism Z. Now, which of the organism is a primary consumer? Which of the organism is a primary consumer? It starts with an X, which moves to organism Y, then organism Z. So organism Y is a primary consumer. So we're getting back some marks now. All right, producer. Which of the organism is a producer? Which of the organism is a producer? Oh, you want me to show the paper? Not a problem. All right, so great. So X is the producer. The only problem I have, I hope that in the exam you are paying attention to where producer is written versus where primary consumer is written. Because in most cases, persons are just going to just write what they think is there, and that is actually not what's there. What about the food chain? Did we get that food chain correct? So I'm going to read the food chain. I'll put it in front of you. There it is. You put the arrow in the wrong direction. So you are suggesting that a plant is eating a goat? I am so sorry. I'm so sorry. All right. So let me read this. You see? Let me read this. I don't even know how to answer that. I think you can answer that. If you put the arrow in the wrong direction, I don't know if you have the organism all lined out, I don't know how CXC would treat it. I honestly don't know. So let me look at this one. And I might have to just stand to read it. All right, okay, I can see it here well. All right, it says Stacy walked into her garden and sees mealybugs feeding on the leaves of her croton. To protect the plant, she introduced ladybug to eat mealybug. Stacy becomes upset when she noticed a frog eating her recently purchased mealybug. Later that day, Stacy sees a garden snake eating the frog. Construct a food chain to represent the information provided in the scenario above. So we're going to have croton. I am seeing error there. So we're going to have a leaf. We are going to have whatever bug it was, but not the ladybug, the mealybug. All right, let me tell you, I can't see everything. The screen is going very, very fast. So we're going to have, this is what I have, and I hope you guys tell me that it's wrong, that you don't have to feel disappointed with what you have. I will feel disappointed with what I have. So I have the plant. Is that carrot or it's a croton? So I have the plant. Whether you want to put the leaf or the plant, it doesn't really matter. Then we are going to have the mealybug. Right? Plant, mealybug. Then we are going to have the ladybug. Then we are going to have the frog. Then we are going to have the snake. Alec D has it on the screen. If you have that, you would have garnered yourself that 5 marks that you lost for the graph. So tell me that what Alec D has, that is what you have. All right, I'm seeing yup. I'm seeing yup. All right, so this was just a matter of following the sequence and drawing the thing accordingly. All right, so we get back the 5 marks, so we're in a good standing now. We just need to get back about 2 marks, and then we start at, all right. So see if we can get the 2 marks on this, which everybody is going to get on this one. All right, so it says, you have to follow this carefully and follow what is happening in the story. It says, a month later, Stacy, you see this question is loaded enough. This question is going to come back on a paper. So much more is left in this question to be tested. A month later, Stacy finds the garden snake dead and decomposing. You hear what it is doing? It is decomposing in her yard. Name 2 types of organism that would be responsible for the snake decay, the decay of the snake. The 2 types of organism. It's always going to be the bacteria and the fungi. Always going to be the bacteria and the fungi. They are responsible for decomposition and to release that nutrient. So you have gotten back 2 marks. Some person group it, decomposer and Decomposers. I don't know what CXC will do with that. Decomposer does aid, But I think the answer here really is decomposer. I think that is a sharp answer here, decomposer, as it were. It's a decomposer decomposing. So I think the two decomposer that we know are bacteria and fungi. Now, worms and woodlice and all that, they are detritivores. They are larger. They break down the snake, and then the decomposer will get it to go into release that nutrient. All right? So for me, worms and flies, they are detritivores. They are detritivores. I don't know how CXC will deal with that. Earthworm is a detritivore. I don't know how CXC will deal with that. But bacteria and fungi, they are decomposers. So I can't tell you if the detritivore part is right or wrong. I don't know how CXC will treat with it. Forgive me. If I don't know, I'm not going to say that I know. Let us go on, and I'm going to convince you now that decomposer and fungi was the answer before. Look at the question that follows. It said that Stacy removes a dead snake from the yard, and instead of throwing it in the bush, buries it near the root of a croton plant. Explain how Stacy's action would be beneficial to the croton plant. Let me see what you write. How would that be beneficial to the croton plant? All right, there Ali have it. Ali has the answer on the screen. The nutrient will, of course, be returned to the croton plant by the action of the decomposers. They are breaking the thing down to release that nutrient that is actually trapped in that snake. All right, so let us go on. So the fungi and bacteria would continue to break down the snake to release trapped nutrient to the croton. It would also aid in the soil's humus content. Now, I hope you got 3 marks for that, everybody. You got 3 marks for that. The croton doesn't need any fossil fuel. Follow the line of the question. The croton doesn't need any fossil fuel. Our interest here is that decomposition of that snake and how does it aid that croton plant. All right, let us go again. This one is easy now. For 1 mark, all you need to say is yes or no. It says state whether or not Stacy would have the same number of snakes in her yard as frogs. Now there they're asking you about a pyramid of numbers. So will she have the same amount of snake in the yard as frogs? Yes or no is your answer. No is going to be the answer. No is going to be the answer because the snake is going to be the apex predator. So if the snake is going to be the apex predator, it is going to be further down on the food chain, which means that less energy will reach down to it. So you are going to have less organism there. It's like you're looking at the pyramid of energy or the pyramid of number. The snake is up top, the frog is below it. So you are going to have more frogs in number than the snake that is at the top. So no is the answer. You will not have the same amount of snake as frog. What it says students were so state whether or not they would have the same number of snake. State whether or not, okay, Stacy would have the same number of snake in her yard as frogs. No. No. The snake in this mixer thing is the apex predator. If you have the same number of snake as frog, do you realize that the frog population will be totally wiped out and the snake will not have anything to eat? We looked at a question like that when we spoke about biological control. So the snake here is a biological control. And if one of the drawback with biological control, we had looked at this on one of the past paper. If with biological control, the drawback is that it can't be allowed to kill all the organism because it is going to become invasive. And I spoke about the mongoose in Jamaica that became feral. So we had forgotten that, but I'm sure that I did address that on the paper. All right. So we are knowing what our answers are. And in some cases, some things are pending because for those, Mr. Wilson can't give the answer. But for those that I can give the answer, I have given the answer. Let us move on again. We are on question number 3. So we have done 2 questions so far. So we are looking at the skin, which is a diagram from excretion. Now we did the skin about 2 or 3 times in our preparation for the exam. So a lot of persons are going to be getting this right. So I'm going to just be showing you the diagram of the skin. This is the diagram of the skin that you got. This is the actual exam paper. So this is the diagram of the skin. So please pay attention to A and B, as these are the things that you are going to be identifying. Great. And you would remember what you identified in the exam. So you are supposed to identify each structure labeled A and B. So what is A and what is B? What is A? What is B? Remember, when you answer, you have to say what is A, what is B. So if you're answering for A, you're going to say A is this. If you're answering for B, you're going to say B is that. All right. So we are going well here. A number of persons seems to have gotten 1 for the exam based on the answers that we have here. So B, I put sweat gland. That is correct. B, sweat gland. No, that's not the sebaceous. The sebaceous is below it. So that's the sweat gland. A is the ear erector muscle. So yes, we got that correct. The sweat gland, while A is the ear erector muscle. So you would have gotten that. Now down the bottom here, you should have gotten this as well, because I went through this a couple of times. Well, telling you about positive feedback mechanism, telling you have to know those diagrams, and there's no the negative feedback mechanism is on this paper more than 1 time. Quite unfortunate, but they have it on the paper probably about 2 or 3 times, being asked different ways. When they ask you about the carbon dioxide level, negative feedback mechanism. When they ask you about, I think something about alcohol or something like that, negative feedback mechanism. When they ask you about, say about 3 times, they ask the same question about negative feedback mechanism, they wanted you to know that. And then I also saw diabetes on the paper, so I hope you saw it as well. Because I told you, you can't go to a biology exam or HSB exam and not know about diabetes and hypertension. So let us move on. Don't worry yourself too much. Everything is fine. So let me just read for you. It said that we are supposed to complete the paragraph below by selecting 2 correct responses from the words and phrase provided in the box below. And the box below has negative feedback, positive feedback, control of body temperature, and child's birth. So it reads, homeostasis is the way in which constant conditions are maintained in the body, despite changes in the environment. When the body detects changes within the environment and produces a response to bring it back to normal. This is described as, whichever word you are going to use. So the body detects that something is off and it is doing something now to bring it back to normal. Is it negative feedback mechanism or positive feedback mechanism? What type of a feedback mechanism bring back things to normal? What feedback mechanism in the body bring back things to normal? It's always going to be negative feedback mechanism. The negative feedback mechanism bring back things to normal. The positive feedback mechanism gives you more of something. So positive feedback mechanism here would have been childbirth with the production of oxytocin. So the other part of this question is going to be control body temperature. And we have been looking at that all this time. We were looking at vasodilation. We did that about 3 times in our preparation. This exact question we would have done about 3 times while we were working the past papers. Now this takes us to the new question. This takes us to the new question. State 2 responses which occur in the body when carbon dioxide level in the blood increase. So carbon dioxide level in the blood increases. This is another negative feedback question. 2 response. What is going to happen? No, it's not uric. Carbon dioxide is not going to cause it to have frequent urination. So you're going to have increase breathing. The heart rate will increase. Your blood pressure will increase because the blood has to move much faster to move that carbon dioxide, because the carbon dioxide will cause the blood to become acidic. And also more oxygen will be supplied to the blood. So those are the answers that are in my head right now. Deeper breathing, faster breathing, increased blood pressure, more oxygen being supplied to the blood. Those are the ones I can think about readily. And I'm looking at the screen and I'm not seeing anything. I see somebody saying wheezing, so let me read my question to see if that could fall in anywhere. It says state 2 response, which occurs when in the body, when blood carbon dioxide level in whatever it says there. Now, it is not wheezing, because this is not a question that they pull from any old place. This is a question that came from respiration, and I'm going to find it in the book. This is a question that came from respiration, where they are looking at, I think it's respiration. They are looking at, let me just tell you. All right, so they are looking at breathing rate. So it says here in your textbook, control of the rate of breathing. Exercise increases breathing rate, and more of, I can't see what, wow. Exercise increases the breathing rate, and more of the inspiratory reserve. That's not what I want, but it is somewhere here. So that particular question is from respiration. And that was one of the questions that I said that CXC cheated us, because though it is negative feedback mechanism, this is respiration. This particular question is respiration. All right? So it's not a question from just about anywhere. It's a respiration question that comes from respiration in your textbook. All right, so let us go again. A group of friends. Now, this is a very interesting one, because again, we were not expecting this question, because this was not captured in the broad topic as I interpreted the broad topic. I don't know who else could have interpreted the broad topic and say anything about alcohol disease in the broad topic. That they said that we weren't doing section D, so nobody studied that. All right. A group of friends go to a party and drink excessive amount of alcohol. The key word here is excessive. The key word here is excessive, and I'm going to show you why excessive is very, very important in this statement. Alcoholic beverage, which are rich in carbohydrates. After drinking, they experience frequent urination, and the following day suffered from And the following day suffered from extreme thirst. Now, this question is a really tricky question, and it is going with a lot that you did not study for the exam, because not even me knew that that was coming on the exam, because they said that we never did do section D. If I remember well, they said they're not bringing section D, and when we read, so that type of thing is going to bowl a lot of persons. So let us look at this thing now. You could approach this question, or let me read what you have. All right, so we're talking now about permeability, ADH. So you could approach this question two ways. You could either talk about ADH, allowing for that frequent urination, or you could talk about alcohol being a diuretic. And once it's a diuretic, the effect is always going to be frequent urination. So alcohol is a diuretic, which causes the kidney to excrete more water. We could either use ADH and speaks to ADH and how it makes the nephron permeable. All right, so we could talk about that. We could talk about ADH, or we could use the whole idea of diuretic. Any one of those we could use to answer that particular question. I don't know. I think that this is sort of cheating. All right, so here we go. The extreme thirst, what would have caused the extreme thirst? What caused extreme thirst? The alcohol caused ADH to decrease, hence increase urine output. All right, so you would have gone well with that ADH thing if you wrote pretty much the role of ADH and what ADH does. Yeah, the paper, this was a little all over the place thing because nobody was expecting this particular question. All right, having lost so much water, lost so much water from urination. Now, one way that you could look at this is that you became dehydrated because of loss of water. The loss of water, which is due to urination, which is due to the urination from. There are two things I have. I have one, the frequent urination could have led to dehydration. And you are now, I think you probably would be familiar that if you are drinking alcohol, then naturally your blood vessels will dilate and your body will become somewhat hot, right? So I think you are losing heat there and possibly you are sweating while you are drinking that alcohol because it was excessive drinking, not just a beer or two, it was excessive drinking. Now look at what happens now. I'm seeing that we're having less answers now, which means that persons are a little puzzled. I am sorry. Let us go down a little bit now. This is where this thing get really tricky because we were not expecting this question number, whatever it is. We were not expecting these questions on the paper because we did not bargain for those. We and CSEC never have these agreement. CSEC said that they wouldn't have given us those, so we're not expecting these. As far as I remember. In addition to frequent urination and extreme thirst, one of a friend, Pedro, experienced dizzy spells and lethargy, I don't know how you pronounce that word, the next day, right? Now, he has this experience, and now to answer this question, you have to pay attention to the word excess. You have to pay attention to the word excess on the other page. Let me tell you why you have to pay attention to excess. State, let me see what's happening here. You have to pay attention to excess. State the effect of drinking alcoholic beverage. State the effect that drinking alcoholic beverage would have on Pedro's blood level. Now look at this now. If you drink alcoholic beverage, it could cause your blood sugar to rise. If you drink alcoholic beverage, it could cause your blood sugar to rise. However, if you are a diabetic patient, it could cause your blood sugar to fall. Now, it will cause your blood sugar to fall as a diabetic patient if you drank that alcohol in excess. So that is where excess is a clue to answering this question, where you are going to now see that drop in blood sugar level because this person is diabetic. It's a diabetic individual. And look what happens as we follow the sequence of the question. It says here that explain how Pedro's body would respond to eliminating the the effect stated. So the problem that he's having with this low blood sugar, you state the low blood sugar. What is going to happen is that the negative feedback mechanism is going to chip in and make sugar be available for the body, being that we are experiencing low blood sugar. Now, but let us get down to the last question on that page. Oh, yeah, the hangover could cause him to vomit, you know. But I think I am more answering to him feeling dizzy, right? But I know that it is normal. The vomiting is as a result of a person being poisoned. The vomiting is as a result of a person being poisoned. All right, great. Let us look at the last question here. Suggest the disease Pedro is most likely suffering from. You realize now that up the top, the blood sugar really dropped, because when we come down the bottom down here, they are now indicating to us that Pedro indeed has a disease, and the disease that he would have had that would have caused him to have these symptoms because of excess alcohol would have been type 1 diabetes. So it's a whole sequence of things you have to be following to answer this question. And I think that this is sort of unfair. But you can't beat them because they're going to tell you it is negative feedback mechanism, and I told you to study homeostasis. So you can't beat them to it. So here they are saying suggest the disease that Pedro is most likely suffering from. State why. Sorry. I soon be with you. I soon take you up. I soon take you up. I soon take you up. Yeah, go and put on a shirt. Go and put your shirt on and come back. Nice boy. Put on your shirt and come back. All right, great. And state why he would have experienced dizzy spells and lethargy. Is it lethargy? Is that how it's pronounced? I can't pronounce it. I can't even call it. I will just run out of all of the air that is in my lungs. I don't know whether you put type 1 or just put diabetes. I don't think that is a big thing. I think it's just diabetes. Whether you put type 1 or type 2, I don't know that. Okay, somebody teaching me to pronounce here. So lethargy. 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 All right, great. All right, so the answer there, type 1 diabetes, and he felt dizzy because of the sudden fall in the glucose level and the alcohol distorting his judgment. So you know that the alcohol will, of course, retard the signals moving across the snaps. So those two things that he's having working against him, this sick man taking this alcoholic beverage with his friend. So that is the whole effect. And these are my answers. If you have anything that is different and you'd love to share with me or that I can change my position, I will gladly change my position if I am wrong. But this is how I would have seen it the first time at a glance working the paper. All right. So I am like wishing that I am wrong, that you are right, that you can get a 1 and I get a 0. But I don't know if there's any remote possibility to that. But there are sometimes when we have things like that happening. All right, this one was a 1. I think this was the hardest question on the paper. Question number 4, that table. I think that table was the hardest one. Because if you were supposed to go through the book, you'd have to be an eye. You'd have to really, really, really know this thing. And let me tell you something. Very few teachers ever get to the back of the syllabus. So very few students will know about water treatment at the commercial level. Everybody will know about boiling some water and put some bleach in it and all of that. But as to the commercial appeal, I don't know that many persons would have it. So I am going to just show you this again. And then this time I really want you to beat me up and say, sir, your answer wrong. Our answer right. Put down. You want to tell me why you're crying? Hold on. You want to tell me why you're crying? Why are you crying? You're very manipulative. You're a very manipulative young man. Why are you crying? Remember we had a deal. Go and put on your shirt and come back. All right, go get your shirt and come back. You're a nice boy. Go and get your shirt and come back. Don't give me that eye, man. Don't give me that eye. Yeah, don't give me. All right, go and get your shirt and come back. All right. Nice boy. He's a manipulator. You're not going. All right, so here's the table. You can tell me what you made of it. Tell me what you made of that table. All right. I don't even know if I should ask you that. It wasn't that easy table. It wasn't that easy table. It wasn't that easy table. Okay, so somebody started out with, what do you have? 4, 5, 3, 1, 2. That's not what I have. That's not what I have. I have 5, 4, 1, 3, 2. From the top, I have 5, 4, 1, 3, 2. Take it out. Now, owing to the fact, that for this particular process, it is like the mid part of water purification. Now, I will openly say I will leave this for further dialogue. My answer for this particular question, I am open to have other suggestion. I am not going to say that I am like dead 100% on this. I am almost certain that I am right on it. But I will look at it again. But I have 5, 4, 1, 3, 2. So now that we are there and we have a stalemate, I am going to go into the textbook to see what the textbook is saying. Don't move, and I am going to try to do the interpretation as to how I got here and see probably how you got where you are. Now, the first turn off to me was where they put 2. All right, so we are going to try to solve this thing. Let me go through it. Now, number 2, they say that large particles of grit and silt. Large particle of grit and silt. Follow my flow. Follow my flow. So the water is coming from a river. And coming from the river, a lot of things can happen. Unless you can tell me where these, if you can tell me where I'm going to find the removal of non-biodegradable material, then at the start of the water treatment, I can go with you. So at the start of water treatment is where we have screening. That is the first process. This is how I argue it. At the start of water treatment, we have screening. Now, with screening, we have the water pumped through a grit, but you're going to have this rough screening to remove any big sediment and things like that, sticks and stones, those big stuff. Take, for example, the Gallas River come down or something like that. So anything, those big things, that's my line of reasoning in answering the question. Those will have to be removed. Now, I can't see after we would have removed, after we would have gone through this coarse sand and grit. The water is now going through sand and grit. I can't see how we would have had non-biodegradable material thereafter. So removal of non-biodegradable material is going to be number 1 for me. All right? And I am thinking that non-biodegradable might be some big stuff. So that is why I am using non-biodegradable, because I can't see anywhere in the process in my head. I might be wrong. I don't work at Water Commission. I can't see anywhere else in the process where that would have been removed. So we have 1 that would have been my 1. Now, this one with breakdown of organic material and microorganism. Now, that is where we have the protozoa eating, I think the protozoa feeding on the bacteria, and where the crustaceans are going to feed on the protozoa, and then the small fish, they are going to feed on the crustacean. So that is what gave me it as stage 3. That's what gave it to me as stage 3. And then now, stage 4 is where they are going to add the ferric chloride or the ferric sulfate to the water. And here we are going to get the sludge. And that is, of course, going to be dumped. Right? So in my opinion, they are referring to it as the effluent. And that is what is dumped. That sludge there that followed after they have coagulation. Remember, they put in this ferric sulfite or whichever ferric sulfate or more than one chemical they can use. And then you get that and it fall out there. So that is what I get. And then now, they are going to apply air air is going to be applied, air is mixed vigorously into tanks. So that is how I got my thing to be that. Now, if you are using, I try not to act as if I own people work. You want water? You want water? Anna is right here with me. He's being a bad boy, not taking any talk. So I went for a bottle of water, and your food fine now? Everything's fine? You're not going to put on in the shirt? No, you're not doing in the shirt. All right. So if you are using this textbook, Human and Social Biology, everybody would know this textbook. I don't get any pay to market it, so don't say that I'm biased or anything. It's just that it's a book that is beside me. And you were supposed to go to page 338, and you look at commercial water treatment. You can leave a comment in the chat and tell me if you are going with me on 5, 4, 1, 3, 2. That is my position for this question. 5, 4, 1, 3, 2. Now, remember, I am open. Just send your argument to me, and if I am wrong, I will revisit and I will make a new post. And in a matter of fact, I will just call Water Commission and ask them to answer the question. I won't even take any textbook. I'll just ring up Water Commission and say, tell me what's the answer for this question. So somebody is saying 4. So where are you going to get the effluent at the start of the process? That is my thing. Where are you going to get the... All right, let me read something for you. Let me read something from this book. I don't know that this publishing house is going to charge me. I'm going to read something. Where it is. I might have given you the wrong water treatment. Hold on. Let me try and find something that I can read for you. As it were for... All right, listen to this. I'm going to be reading something for you. Anna, just relax, please. No crying, please. All right, let's read from this part. Let me read here. The water now, and I am having hiccup of time to see. The water now passes to, listen, the water now passes to settling tank where it is coagulated to help settle the particles. Coagulated particles are clumped together, are clumped by adding a coagulant. This coagulant may be ferric chloride, ferric sulfate, aluminum salt, which clump the particles. Listen to this now. Mechanical stirrers rapidly mix the coagulant with, rapidly mix the coagulant with the water. The clump formed are removed. The clump, which is the effluent formed, is removed. Let us go again. Is removed as a form of sludge, effluent, by a process of sedimentation. Listen to this now. Fine air bubbles may be used to help to rise the sludge to its removal. So, like I say, I am open, but these are some salient points I think to look at. I am open to go over this again, and I am begging you, students, send me something that I can say, yes, I really need to go over that. I like challenge from students. You know, Mr. Wilson, that is how you learn, you know. That's how you learn. All right, let's move on. Next question. State 2 ways in which human activity could negatively impact water supply. 2 ways in which human activity could negatively impact water supply. I'm definitely going to revisit that question. I'm definitely going to revisit the question. So just ignore that question for now. I'm going to revisit it. Let me see if my head was working really well. So state 2 ways in which human activity could negatively impact water supplies. I am still at question number 4 and I am at B. State 2 ways in which human activity could negatively impact water supply. So poor disposal mechanism. Some persons are misinterpreting the question. What can you do that would affect water supply? Whether it's going to contaminate the water or it is going to upset the water cycle. That is what we're expecting here. So disposal of sewage in water, improper farming practices, very good. These are some nice ones, such as overuse or using fertilizer and pesticide near sources of water. That is beautifully said. Beautifully said. All right? That bit there is wonderful. All right, let's look at the other question. Leah lives in a rural village where most residents make their living by raising animals and growing crops. Recent rains have left the village flooded, and Leah plays in the flood water from early in the morning to late in the evening. State 2 contaminants that Leah and her community could be exposed to after the flood. 2 contaminants that Leah and her community could be exposed to after the flood. 2 contaminants that Leah Well, yes, after the flood, we could see some oil slick. Well, these biological stuff, they are indeed contaminant too, you know. Because water with cholera are pathogen thereof. So it could be a lot of things. It could be a whole lot of things after a flood. So it is going to unfair for me to name 1 or 2, but any contaminant, anything that would cause water unfit, anything that would cause the environment to be unsafe is going to be considered a contaminant. And of course, it could be a myriad of stuff. So I'm not going to be giving you an answer here. I'm not going to be giving you an answer. A myriad of stuff, anything that is related to water pollution could be used here. That would be associated also with a rural community. All right, so we could talk and talk about a myriad of other stuff. All right, so we move on. So we still have 1 question that I would love to go back to, but for the others, I think you are fine. Now, suggest 3 diseases that Leah and her community are likely to contract as a result of flooding. 3 diseases that they are likely to contract as a result of flooding. After flooding. Remember, you have to think about the setting. It's not just about anywhere. You have to think about the fact that it is in that rural community that practices agriculture and crop farming, and I think animal farming. You have to take that in consideration in answering the questions. All right, so top on the list is going to be cholera, typhoid, because of sewage, and of course, dysentery. Flooding, sewage from the animal farm, so dysentery, typhoid, cholera, and worms. Any of those 4 are going to be popular on the list. But tell you what, they could be, of course, affected by diseases that are pretty much mosquitoes form the vector for that particular disease. So we could also look at that. But as it were, for water with sewage that has been exposed to sewage, we are looking at typhoid, dysentery, cholera, worms, and also mosquito-borne disease. Those are possible. All right, great. Let's move on. Recommend 4 precautions that the students could take during the flooded crisis to prevent the spread of this disease. 4 things that the students could do in that crisis to prevent the spread of disease. Everybody must get this. General knowledge should be able to give you that answer. All right, so I'm waiting on those 4 things. Wear protective clothing, mosquito spray. Don't play in the water. Don't play in the water. Those are 2. Properly wash vegetables, and yes, I wouldn't even eat them. Drain tires. Keep drinking water tightly covered. All right, I am seeing some stuff. You guys making me feel bad now. Like I came here and I dim your lights because you all were so upbeat about the paper. And now I'm giving you some answers and persons are feeling a little way. Now remember that I don't work at the CSEC and I'm just giving you my views. So just take it that my views are not right. I would hardly think so though. Alright, so let me come back and look at what you have there. Alright, so 4 precautions. So 1 is that I saw somebody saying, keep drinking water tightly covered. Avoid being, not sure what that should be. probably in contact with neighbors, since you may not know who. All right, the drinking water. Remember that you are supposed to boil the water that you are going to drink, and in whatever case is necessary, you are going to apply chlorine in the form of bleach or chlorine tablet. Destroy, I want to say activate your mosquito control plan. Activate your mosquito control plan. Properly wash food and vegetable if you are going to consume from the area, and depending, you probably have to just throw away your leafy vegetables because they would have been exposed to sewage. All right, so you really don't want to eat anything that was really exposed to that water. Make sure that persons who are supposed to be vaccinated that can guard them against particular disease, make sure that that is done. I'm seeing boiled water up here. And you want to wear long sleeve clothes. Activate that mosquito treatment plan. Whether you are going to be fogging, whether you are going to be Tanisha Gray, you need to avoid that flood water. Great. Those are some things that you need to do. All right, so this is now question number 5. I realize the 2 questions we did just now. Is it 2? That was 2. Oh, question 4 was the hardest question on the paper. It was like a mountain. I see. Oh, so there are about 2 questions. The one with the alcohol and this one. I hope that you will favor a little better in this one. Yes, fogging, chlorination. Yeah, all those are stuff that we want to do. Section B, question 5 and 1 question to go. It says here that human skeleton is made up of approximately 206 bones. Identify 2 bones located in the chest region of a skeleton. The chest region. I mean, this is like a space bone. I know nobody saw this coming. To ask about a bone here, usually they're asking about a bone in your foot, your back, or your hand, not in your chest. I've never seen one in your chest. But it's going to be the ribs and the sternum. The ribs and the sternum. Bone. Oh, cat got your tongue? I'm sorry. I'm sorry. All right, so the other question is going to be, state 2 functions of a skeletal system other than movement. Now, there are about 6 functions, so if you take out 1, then you have 5. What did you write? If you take out 1, then you have 5 left. What did you write? All right, support to keep the body upright, protection. Make blood cell. But they say no movement, so why persons would be writing movement now? Unless you didn't read the question well. All right, so remember that the bone also serves as a reservoir or a storage site for phosphate and calcium. It makes blood cell. It gives the body shape. Protection of vital organ. All those are very important. All right, so the other question is going to be, compare the movement of hinge joint to ball and socket joint. What was that comparison like? This must have been your best question on the paper, the skeletal system. Compare the movement of the hinge joint to a ball and socket joint. The hinge joint allow movement in one plane, while the ball and socket allow movement in all directions. Yes, that is correct. That is what it is. That's correct. All right, so the other question we are going to be looking at. All right, that is over there. So the other question we're going to be looking at is this question. And it reads, after class, Tiana was having an argument about ligament and tendon. She believes that ligament and tendon are the same because both are made up of connective tissue. So now we are talking about the makeup and are attached to bone. So here, you are now going to be telling the difference. And if you can, this is for 5 marks. So for 5 marks, it suggests to me that you are going to be telling about the functional and structural difference. So you are going to tell about the makeup and what they do. The makeup and what they do. So the ligament is made of yellow elastic fiber. Ligaments have much elastic while tendon have little elastic. Yeah, that is true. The ligament would have a yellow elastic while the tendon has a white collagen. Ligament attach bone to bone and has elastic to allow movement at the joint. Yeah, that could go. Tendon are attached. Tendon attached. Oh, wow, that left me just now. Tendons are attached to bones. That's not right, Wallin. Ligament is connected to tissue that join bone to bone, while tendon is non-elastic connect tissue that attach bone to bone. So pretty much, we talk about the makeup. We could say that ligaments are yellow elastic fiber that pretty much join bone to bone, while tendons are white collagen that really don't stretch. And the tendon, they attach muscle to bone. All right? And that should rake us up about 5 marks. We have to be careful. We can't write 2 lines for 5 marks. All right? Great. Now, this one has to do with body posture. It says that a middle-aged man goes to the clinic complaining of stiff, painful joints and a decrease in mobility. So he's complaining of stiff, painful joints and a decrease in mobility. Your question: suggest the condition from which he most likely suffer and explain how he may have developed this condition. So yes, it is arthritis. Yes, it's arthritis. Yes, it is arthritis. Yes, it is arthritis. But how did he contract this arthritis, you think? It says suggest. So a number of things could be the answer. Yes, it is arthritis caused by loss of synovial fluid and wearing away of the cartilage. Yes, that is right. Explosive placenta. No, it says expulsion. Expulsion of placenta. That's what I have here. Expulsion. So Amoy had something right. It is arthritis because of damage or worn cartilage and the ligaments, because when the cartilage become damaged or worn, the ligaments become distorted, and that is going to cause pain, and this pain is going to cause this person not wanting to move, and not wanting to move, then it is going to, of course, pretty much aggravate that problem, because it's going to become stiff, as he said, because he doesn't want to move it. So after a while, it start getting stiff. Now, this creates a pretty much a painful condition because of the bones now, like they are rubbing together. That pretty much creates a serious problem there. There's, of course, going to be low mobility because the pain inhibits this person movement. So we're going to be having things like that. Now, what causes this could also be bad posture. So it could be bad posture. It could be a blow or a damage to the area, an injury, so to speak. It could be just normal wear and tear. This person's middle age, so normal life wear and tear could have caused this problem. And we already said posture could also be a reason for this problem. We're on the last question, and the last question just have a little tips about genetics. It says, state one example of continuous variation and one example of discontinuous variation. One example of continuous variation and one example of discontinuous variation. One example of continuous variation and one example of discontinuous variation. So I have the exact thing on my paper. Height is going to be continuous variation, and of course blood type. But there are many other things that we could look at. Weight is also continuous variation. Earlobe, whether it be attached or detached, that is going to be discontinuous variation. Blood type is, of course, going to be discontinuous variation. Tongue rolling is going to be discontinuous variation. Gender is going to be discontinuous variation. So I have looked at a lot there. All right, state two reasons why genetic variation is important to organisms. Two reasons why genetic variation is important to organisms. Two reasons why genetic engineering, sorry, state two reasons, yes, why genetic variation is important to organisms. So a different organism, we have variation, different organism for different role in the ecosystem. Different organism will be able, because of variation, organism will be able to survive changes in the ecosystem. What else? All right, so it allows them to survive, adapting for the future, and with variation, we might have changes in the breeding stock, would of course make the gene or the particular species evolve to become more successful in that population. All right, so that the child doesn't look exactly like the parent. So variation creates diversity. Variation creates diversity. Variation ensures that if there is a particular problem, disease, so on, the entire species is not wiped out. Variation makes sure that organism can, of course, withstand changes, aggressive changes in the environment. Next question, I think this one was easy. I think this was another backup question. He said that the Aedes aegypti mosquito lives in warm climate and lay its egg in stagnant water. Meteorologists predict that the Caribbean will have larger dry seasons or longer dry seasons, but when it rains, it would often result in flooding. Surprisingly, scientists predict that there could be an increase in the spread of mosquito-borne disease during the long dry season. Your questions here: name the disease that the Aedes aegypti mosquito carries and identify one other mosquito-borne disease. So what is the name of the disease that the Aedes aegypti mosquito carry? Dengue. So the Aedes dengue. The Aedes aegypti mosquito carry dengue, and the Anopheles carries malaria. Now you are supposed to now explain why scientists are predicting that long dry season could increase levels of mosquito-borne disease. Why would a scientist predict that? Why would a scientist predict that any at all? Are you with the scientists? Do you agree? Why would a scientist predict anything like that? Zika virus, I agree. Because flood get into, no, you can't even go to that. Because if we had a flood today and we are going to have rain in the next 6 months, the water will evaporate. All right. Reverend Adrian Ellis. All right. So I don't know that we understand this question. It is during the dry period that the mosquito disease is going to spread, you know. And the answer to this question is in that long thing that we write, that we read up the top, you know. The answer to this question is on the paper, you know. Let me read. The condition is favorable for the mosquito as it will always find stagnant water. Remember, it says that the Aedes aegypti mosquito lives in warm climate. So if it is not raining, it is going to be warm climate, and it lays its egg in stagnant water. So you are always going to have stagnant water if you are not going to have any rainwater to wash away the water. So the condition is favorable to the mosquito as it will always find stagnant water somewhere to lay eggs and increase the mosquito population, Hence, more mosquito will be available to spread the disease because a particular mosquito likes a warm condition. The particular mosquito likes stagnant water. So yes, that is why during summer we are having chick V and sick V because this is the type of environment that the mosquito likes. No mosquito is up by Blue Mountain. It is too cold. Amor, you want to take a trip downtown to see stagnant water in the middle of Kingston? People throw away a little water here, a little water there. You tend to have drooping form on the grass and that little thing. The mosquito doesn't need an ocean to lay egg, you know. The little vase here and the little vase there, the little tire with water here, so the little can with water there, so. The little dripping pipe over here, so, and the little dripping pipe over there, so. The little box strings box that you throw over there, so the little soda bottle over there, so. They all add up. They all add up. All right, so the last thing here, and this might be, except for acne and eczema, the others might be a little strange to you. So I'll just read the question. This is the final question on the paper. It says, Brandon is a 10-year-old boy who does not like to bathe or change his clothes. Aside from the awful body odor, explain to Brandon 3 health challenges he may experience as a result of these practices. 3 health reasons if he's not bathing, he's a nasty boy indeed. 3 health reasons, he's going to develop acne. There's a possibility of ringworm. There's a possibility of eczema. There's a possibility of, write this in the chat for me, PSORIASIS. PSORIASIS. Or we could say dermatitis, right? Now, all of these are some diseases, some condition that is going to be associated with the skin if he doesn't want to bathe, right? And change the clothes. Now, dermatitis are skin condition that may cause sore, rash, or other odd conditions to the skin. Psoriasis cause red, flaky, crusty patches on the skin, scalp, and lower back. Acne. Hair follicles become plugged with oil or dead cells, causing whitehead, blackhead, and pimples. Eczema. Patches or itchiness, inflammation, swelling, and skin crack. All of those are associated with poor skin hygiene. Not to say that it is always like this, but these are all plausible for the noted problem. That takes us to the end of CSEC Human and Social Biology, July 2021. The answers here presented are merely the views of Mr. Wilson. They are in no way the views of CXC. Might I also tell you that CXC tend to use, I think, what they call as a norm reference curve, which means that a 1 does not necessarily have to be 99. A 1 could very well be about probably 60. So just let me draw that graph for you very quickly. So if the highest mark is 60%, then you understand that 60% is from where the grades are going to be skewed. So it's not necessary to say that you're going to ask, so what is a 1? A 90 is a 1? A 80 could be a 1. And next year, 99 could be the 1. It's going to be based on the cumulative performance of everyone based on my memory. So it is not in my hand to tell anybody here that they passed or failed. I don't work at CXC. I don't mark CXC papers. So I just gave you it as I saw it. And then I did say that there's a 4-mark question on the paper that I am willing to revisit. But for the greater part, I think that all the other answers are accurate. If you have any query or concern, feel free to send them to me via chat or email. Respectfully so, I will reply within due time. Thanks for stopping by. Continue to study. Continue to do good. Remember, if you didn't come out and talk this time, there is still some other time. Good evening.